Well, welcome back to my channel. So hope you are enjoying the Python skill series so far. So in today's video, we'll be seeing one of the concept which is there in Python. Now, just a quick note about this particular technique. So from the thumbnail itself, you might know the technique what we are going to discuss, but this is not a design technique, but it is basically hack. So now this is not used in development environment, but it is used moreover in testing environments. Uh, so we are going to talk about something called as monkey patching. So as from the name itself, monkeys. So or if you remember about the story of the cab sellers and the monkeys from the childhood stories. So basically at the end of this story, what happens is the cab seller reclaims all the cabs that were taken away from him by imitating. So monkeys have the capability of imitating whatever human does. So that's the way how that particular cab seller retained all of his cabs successfully. So we are going to use the same concept of imitating behavior of one particular server. So to better understand the concept of monkey patching, let's consider this example. So this is a normal transaction flow that we daily do, that is for online purchase. So at the beginning phase, that is here, that is this is the end user. So end user is any person, you and me, anyone who is browsing the website, or say in this particular scenario he wants to, or he or she wants to purchase something from online, so online shopping. So then the payment gateway that we have is, that is PayPal system. So there can be any payment gateway which is just a mediator in order to carry out your transaction process. And at the end what you have is a database. Now consider this as a bank database. So this is a bank database. So from whatever payment gateways it will fire the request, it will send back you the response, success response, that is given by this. So this is any bank. So that can be considered as a ABC bank which you have, and from this you basically get a successful response upon your transaction. So you give your credit card details or net banking details, and then it will successfully perform the operation at the back end. So this is the back end, that is the database, and it will give you the response back. So this is the normal transaction flow that we do. Now in the real world or in the testing environment, there are other entities involved in this. So just to boil it down to a simpler explanation, I have just considered three entities: the user, payment gateway, and the bank database. So from the bank database, whenever you get a valid transaction, or whenever you do the success transaction, you get the response back, and basically that marks the end of the normal transaction. Now what happens is, not every time you do the transaction it works in that way, because as you know, the DBMS, it is distributed. So in order to avoid any single point of failure, it will be replicated in multiple places. So user will not know from where the response comes. So at a time it can be possible, like and also just to make sure, like each of these copies or replica of these databases have to be consistent at one particular point of time. So that can be checked from the transaction logs. You can make it out, like whether it's consistent or inconsistent. Now at some point of time there may be downtime. So in 24 hours a day, this particular database is in functionality. So whether it be any payment gateway like Flipkart, Amazon, or say your travel services, like you have Uber, Ola, then many other things. So all of the request is coming to this particular server or the bank database, and it is giving out the appropriate response back. It's not always a success message because sometimes your card may be expired. There can be n number of test cases that is involved with this kind of scenario. So we are just only talking about the success scenario in this case. So while this database is in process, what happens is in 24 hours of duration, it cannot be full-fledged, or any database, let it be any high-end database you are using in an industry. At some point of time, there can be downtime, and due to this downtime, you have to shut down your business even for just whether it for just 1 hour. 1 hour, I said it's too long, but even just for 45 minutes or 30 minutes, that can be, or that can set back you millions of dollars or millions of rupees. So that in the real world, in the production environment, it's very crucial. So what company usually does is, instead of this scenario, or like even if not in downtime, they'll do some maintenance activity due to which you need to shut down your database, or you have to repoint your services to some other place. So that's where this stubbing comes. So this can be considered as a stub here. So this is a stub. So now what happens is, you have the normal transaction flow. So you send the request, or user sends the request to the PayPal service, that is the payment gateway. And previously what you did is, you had the pointing of the PayPal with the database. So instead what we do is, we just redirect or change the pointer to a stub. Now this stub can be called as a middleware, and which can be written in Python format. So it can be set middleware.py. Now, whenever this bank database or the real server encounters any issue due to testing or maintenance or due to downtime, this pointing of this particular server may be redirected to your step. Now user always wants to have the response done. So if you know, in DBMS, it satisfies the ACID properties: atomicity, consistency, integrity, and durability. So that thing should be maintained in any DBMS system. So in order to ensure that, what you do is, you just change the pointing of this payment gateway PG to this stub. Now in this stub, what you basically do is, you can have static response as well as dynamic response, as per your requirement, how you want to give back the response back to the user. Now user will not know from, or user will not have the clear idea of what is happening at the backend. So whether it's coming from a database or a real database, or from a step. So now here, since the response is coming back from a step, user is getting the correct response, or it may be a tampered response or modified response. So this is essentially called as monkey patching. So now what is the definition, or what can you understand from this discussion? So monkey patching, as I mentioned before, is not a design technique which is followed, or not a development practice, but it is a uh, procedure used for testing these services. So again, if I want to give a clear definition for this, it is a dynamic replacement of the attributes. Now attributes in Python are nothing but your classes, then your methods, then variables. Those are attributes. So monkey patching does the dynamic replacement of these attributes at runtime, and without changing its original source code. So essentially, what we need to do is, we need to have a middleware in between these two systems, so that all the responses will be coming to the middleware. But At the end, what happens is an ideal scenario is like you just change the pointing back to your original server, and it will behave the way as it is supposed to do. Now, in the real world, monkey patching is harmful. You don't do monkey patching. So there are n number of reasons for doing this, or why it is not recommended to do monkey patching. So first scenario is like, say there are two different modules or two different function calls that is happening. So in one function call you did the monkey patch, and one of them, or say I'll just draw another diagram. Say you have two modules, like module 1 and then you have module 2. Now these modules correspond to some functionalities that you are expecting to get back. Now what happens is, if you did a patch here and also if you did a patch here, so now say this is for add to cart, so it is adding to your cart, and this is basically for the checkout functionality. So now since you get a or you send a request to this particular module or to this particular functionality, and if this patch executes, or it can be also said like the team or who gave this patch, that is a older version, but currently it is being outdated because it is lacking some drivers and so on. Now this module will be redirected to the second module because it is dependent on the very first call. So here also he might have done some patch. So the patch which is done here may not be working, or it can be said like it is a kind of hack that are using here. So whenever you are doing any troubleshooting or any kind of resolving purpose, or whenever you are seeing in the transaction logs if any responses or any intermediate calls are missing, and if you just keep the patch in between, that basically creates another level of confusion for troubleshooting. So that is the main cause you don't want to use the monkey patching, but this is just a thing that you can do by means of Python. So I personally have used this in my uh, company, not in Python, but we had this service virtualization. So in the corporate environment, this is called as service virtualization, that is service virtualization. So that basically comprises of for what any systems that you want to make these stubs, or you want to mimic the behavior of your original database, that many steps you can deploy, and from that many steps you will get the response back to the client. So better we understand this thing with the help of the Python code. So what we have is we have a code like this. So here if you know about the classes and objects things, that is the OOPS concept, again it will be easier. And if you don't know about this concept, I suggest you that you watch these videos first before moving on to monkey patch. So let's begin. So we have a class that is stub. So name of my class is stub, and inside this I define the initialization variable. So first is my init method, and in init method I expect a parameter or consider as a token, so that it will get initialized. So token in this case, like in the real world, it can be some valid URL, or like amazon.com or amazon something like that .co, or it can be also considered as the credentials, that is your usernames or passwords. So that can be considered as a token. So it expects one particular token, and that goes inside this particular class, and basically the initialization of that particular class happens. And then inside that I have kept a response message, and in response message I'm printing success. So if it could connect to that particular module or a function call or service that it is supposed to be exhibiting, if that action is performed successfully, then it will return a success message. And then I have a add to cart method. So basically, if you want to add some items onto your cart, you initialize this method, that is add to cart. And if you click that particular item for the quantities that you want to put, if that is successful, then it will give the function call to this response and it will print success. And similarly, uh, I have a checkout method, and if you put the valid credentials or the payment details, it will give you the success message. So these two methods, that is add to cart and checkout, are referring to this response message. So it will print the message whatever is there, that is success message. So here we are just considering only the success scenario. You can go ahead, can add many test cases, you can do modifications, and then you can see how this behaves. So this is just for a basic demonstration of monkey patching. Now here outside the class, what I do is I create object of the main class, that is stub. And since here I'm passing a variable, so I'm passing a token, that is URL token. You could pass any number here, that is you can pass integer, you can pass a boolean value, any number. So it is just expecting a particular token. So here in this case I'm passing a string, and inside that some URL and some token. It could be username, password, or your credentials, anything like that. And then after that I'm doing a function call. So with this object created by this class, I'm accessing the add to cart. So it should successfully print this message. And for checkout also, it should print this message. So that is the basic normal transaction flow that we are expecting. Let's go ahead and just run this, whether it works or not. Yeah, it is printing. So it first access the add to cart. So add to cart sent the request to response. Response printed the success message. And for checkout also, it gave the function call to response and it printed the success message. Now assume while doing this, something bad happened and our server got failed or there is a downtime. So now since user is doing in the real time the browsing activity, and especially when it comes to this particular scenario, that is payment gateway, that is very crucial. So sometimes it happens is like you are doing the transaction and due to some failure, database failure, what happens is like the transaction gets terminated, but instead the amount from the user's bank, it has been deducted, but here in the database or the transaction has not happened. So that is basically an inconsistent state. So you want to avoid those kind of scenarios. So these things can happen in the real world. So or also that is one case, and the one more case is like you want to do a testing. So user doesn't know what is happening at the back end, whether it's a maintenance activity or whether it's a downtime or any other reasons, but he always want to have some response. So instead what we do is we just add some line of code, and that is called as monkey patching. So this is the monkey patching that we do. So instead how we write this is we define another response. So this is the original response that the bank is supposed to give you, or the database which is there, uh, that is supposed to, that this particular database is supposed to give the success response. But here what I'm doing is I'm defining a patched response, and it has the same structure. So just one thing, and if you are coming from a Java programming background, you have a concept in Java called as method overriding. So in Python, monkey patching has the same analogy. So you can consider method overriding with monkey patching. So it is the same thing. So now what happens is I define the same function. So the name of my function is patch response, and it has similar structure. So it takes self parameter and it prints a success message. Now here I'm passing the success message in this way, that is, this will be a fake success message or a tampered request or a tampered response, in fact. So I'm printing success in this way. So sometimes due to negligence or due to ignorance, you may think like this is normal success message, but actually it's not. You are just changing the success message, or internally the contents may be changed, or as I said here, the reference may be changed to a step or to a middleware. And here this is the actual patching that is done. So this is just the definition of the method, that how the stub is going to behave in this particular scenario. So it is basically going to change the output. So whatever is printed on the screen, or whatever user gets the output on the screen, we are going to change that message. And this is how the patching is done. And how this patching is done, we call the method of the stub class, that is stub dot response, and we assign patch response to it. So whatever value is there for patch response, that goes inside this stub response, and this is the patch code. And we are just printing just before the monkey patching. And after this, so what happens is you now call the add to cart and obj.checkout. So it will give you a patched response. So we'll just check this again. So instead now we can just comment this out. Why? Because we are carrying out some database activity or maintenance. So we are not giving that details or giving that information to the user. We'll just go ahead and just run this. You can see the success message is printed. It is like this. Or we can just comment this out. That was just for a debugging purpose. So you can see the success message it printed in this way. So the two function calls or service calls, that is add to cart and checkout, those were got tampered. Now this particular code what I written here, that is monkey patching.py, is in the real world it's called as middleware. So this behaves as a middleware where it is used to send the tampered response, or sometimes it can be also used to give as a static response. Now here in this code we have designed this particular thing in a static way, but in the real world we are going to implement this in a dynamic way, because there will be various session variables and other things that will be involved. So, and also based on the time how the user behavior is there, we'll get more analytics and things like that. So accordingly we have to modify this code, and we have to behave this as in how it behaves from the real end. So in the real end, how bank gives the response back, the similar way we have to make our stuff work. So that lies where the expertise in monkey patching. So well, that was all regarding the concept of monkey patching in Python. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you found you got edgy from this video, please do like, share, comment, and if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching this video.